Hi everyone and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. I'm joined by Terry and Owen, and today we're previewing Everton's Premier League match against Burnley at the weekend. Owen, I'll come to you first because you seem to know a bit more about Burnley than me and Terry. First of all, I just want to know, how do you think we can break them down? Because they're a tough side to play against at times. What do you think is going to be the key for us to getting a win?
It's always a difficult match against Burnley. The 18th, 19th in the league, but I guarantee you, when we look towards the end of the season and we see the bottom three, they will not be in the bottom three. Mm-hmm. I'm that confident that come the end of the season. But it's every year they had a bit of a tough patch towards the middle last season. They finished 10th. Season before that, they had the Europa League, so it was a balancing act for them then. But they still managed to finish 14th, 15th. Season before that, they finished 7th. First season, he stayed up. So that you know what you're going to get. It's going to be 4-4-2. They're going to get balls into our box. They're going to use set pieces. And if Brownhill and Westwood fit, they can move the ball quite nicely through midfield now as well. More so than when Jack Cork played there. He was more of a sort of tough tackling midfielder for them than someone like Josh Brownhill, who's come in and is more impressive with the ball, I would say. But it's going to be a difficult game. For me, this is a game that Everton win 3-0 because we get the early goal and we get some momentum, and they find it difficult to come back, or they score first. And if they score the first goal in this game, especially as the game goes on, we might as well just walk down the tunnel, because we're not going to be able to do it, because I don't think at the moment there's the character in this team to come from behind on a 1:45 kickoff and the first Saturday in December in the freezing cold at Turf Moor. When we judge this team, this is how we'll judge them. These games at Turf Moor, we've played at Palace, but these type of Newcastle the other week wasn't really the most ideal game for us. Didn't turn up. Okay, we didn't help ourselves to the team selection, but it's going to be a similar thing this weekend, where I think we're going to need to match them for work rate, or I do worry it's going to be a game which will fall perfectly into Burnley's hand, because, okay, they got whacked 5-0 against Man City. They could be top of the game, and they lost 2 games in 14 games at the end of last season. One of them was a 5-0 loss against Man City, so you can't really read too much into that. They beat Palace 1-0 the week before, 0-0 against Brighton, 0-0 against West Brom. So before that, they have been showing signs of getting points and clean sheets, which is no surprise when Ben Mee's back in the team, because he's the one who holds it all together at the back. I think obviously the Toffee Blues got Joe Redman from Turfcast in, and he's basically said, what I've been saying about how the first goal in this game is pretty important. For us, I think if we score early on, I think it'll be a comfortable afternoon for us. It won't be comfortable, but I think it'll be a game we can manage. But I think if they score the first goal, it will be difficult, as it always is against Burnley.
Yeah, you've said that a couple of times recently, Owen, about if Burnley get the first goal in this game, there's not much point in Everton playing on, because I think if we're 1-0 down, we could play till Christmas and I don't think we'd score against them. I just don't think, and it's been the typical thing with Everton. It's away in these games, these tough games. If something goes against us, we just seem to sort of fall apart. You know what I mean? So, but no, I think that point about the first goal, and obviously they've got a very solid team. They'll be looking at us.
It was the same when we played Newcastle the other week. As soon as they got that penalty and scored, I thought we may as well walk down the tunnel, because they're just going to throw a fleet of buses in front of their goal and see it out, which they did. Whereas when we played Fulham, they made a 1-1, didn't they? I had confidence we would still win that, because they will still push men forwards at 1-1 or 2-1. So it was a bit of a different deal playing these, because these are a team that are going to look to start off from a clean sheet basis, almost play for a 0-0. And if they find a moment, they'll find a moment. But it's going to be tough, no doubt.
Terry, I'll come to you asking you just what how do you feel about the game? Because I know we felt the same about the Leeds game at home, which is on paper quite a different proposition to this. I just sort of want you. What's your first impression of this game? How do you think we'll do?
I'm worried again. Like, I was worried about Leeds because of their energy and their pace, and I thought our midfield would get overrun and they couldn't live with them, and that's, I was proved right in that regard. This game, it's not so much the midfield to worry about as our defence. Mm-hmm. We look at the type of chances we create, with like sloppy pass and giving it away, and the pressure's back on us, and Yerry Mina with his back heel to Salah in the derby. We do anything like that against Burnley, they'll be right on it, and they will be throwing crosses into the box. So we need to be on our game defensively. Obviously, goes out saying Owen's right. First goal's massive. If they get the goal first, then we're in for a rough afternoon. If we get one, then we could hopefully kick on from there. Our defence notwithstanding, because we'll find more space to get more goals in if they start coming out and having to score. This is the type of game where we might have to change up our attack and play. I mean, we might have had to anyway because we haven't got Luca Dean, but the crosses into the box for Calvert-Lewin, he might struggle in this game because they will, they love all that. They will have that as food and drink all game. People just whipping in crosses from the flanks to a centre forward, and as good as Dom is in the air, Burnley centre backs and me and Tarkowski are good as well. So it could be a game where you get the likes of, James Rodriguez. He's had a little bit of a dip in form, and then, can he do it on a December afternoon? In the British conditions, but a creative player like that might be the key to unlocking Burnley, because the physical sort of, pace and power aspect of playing is just what Burnley, are used to and set up to deal with, whereas you can't always accommodate for a little bit of magic from a magic player.
Mm-hmm. Just to touch on what Terry said there, Owen, about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, do you see him getting any joy in this game?
Again, maybe. I mean, if I'm going to think of an opponent I wouldn't like Dom to play against, it would be James Tarkowski and Ben Mee, because they're very aware defensively, so they'll know where to position themselves to win aerial duels. If we were playing the team like Fulham the other week, you just don't know what foot defending is if it hit them in the face. Then he's all for that. I thought Leeds as well, the amount of sort of space they give up in the defensive third, I thought it might have suited them then. Turns out we just bottled it completely against Leeds in terms of our attack and play, and just misplaced any pass. I think if Dom's good enough to score against Burnley, and I know we're talking about the strengths of Burnley, but they are a team who have struggled so far this season. They didn't spend much money in the summer, so I think it's just a testament to what they've done over a number of years, why we're worried about this kind of fixture rather than anything they've done so far this season. But like Adab said, they have had 3 clean sheets in the last 5 games, so that would kind of point towards them becoming more difficult to break down. I think Dom, he's more than good enough to create chances, but I think it's going to be, if Burnley give James Rodriguez the kind of space to give Riyad Mahrez last week, I mean, we could be in for some afternoon, because he had the freedom of the Etihad Mahrez, but I think James is going to, and Richarlison are going to have big games for us to, because the Burnley won't be able to mark all 3 out the game. So if they all have a great game, we should by then logic win the game, as long as our defence doesn't sort of self-combust. Burnley haven't scored many goals this season, but they have had chance. They've just been sloppy. I think I am looking forward to see how our attack and play sort of develops in this game as it goes along, especially if we get an early goal, which then should be by logic more space for the likes of Dom to work in.
Yeah, I think it is going to fall to our major attacking players to be big characters in this game, because as you mentioned, an early kickoff first week of December, it's not something you'd really associate Everton with, taken by the scruff of the neck and dominating for 90 minutes. I think it is going to fall to people like James and like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. they're going to need to have good games. If they don't, I think Burnley can see themselves getting something from it. They'll look at our results against Leeds last week.
Set pieces is what your target.
Yeah. I'm glad you've mentioned that, Owen, because, and we're going to touch on it a bit later as well. Our defence as well. It seems to be a bit. It seems like they've sort of walked out with no game plan. And they've just sort of winging it, like the phrase I'd use. Whether it's Holgate or Godfrey or Mina, who's at fault. There always seems to be someone at fault in them situations, like set pieces and stuff like that. And Sean Dyche isn't an idiot. He'll look at it and he knows where to pick holes in Everton, but neither's Carlo Ancelotti. But I'm just interested to touch on it as well. The wing back situation. How do you think? And I want to ask both of you this. I want to get two opinions. The wing back situation. How can you see it going? Who can you see starting at left wing back and right wing back if we favour that formation again?
Yeah, no way would I be playing a three at the back against Burnley.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't invite the pressure on with three centre backs for where their two strikers can pin us back. I'd go 4-3-3 again. I would probably play Holgate right back. I'd probably stick with Keane and Mina centre back. I'd play Nkunku left back, and I'd probably go for in the midfield Alan Decore, and maybe we'll play Iwobi because I want to see him there basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's another source of body for Burnley to worry about in the final third, and then the front three picks itself. But I wouldn't go to a three at the back in this game because I think especially if Holgate plays right back, their biggest creative output is McNeil, and he's going to play on the left because he doesn't play anywhere else really. So if Holgate can be sort of that defensive prowess against McNeil, he hasn't had a great season, but sort of mark him out the game, that by logic should pave the way for us to become more comfortable defensively and also be able to bring the game onto them more. We've got that sort of threat nullified. So Holgate and Nkunku in the back four is the long-winded answer to that.
Yeah. Teddy, what about you? How can you see us lining up?
I hope we do exactly what Owen said there. That would make most sense to me. If devil's advocate, if he does play the three at the back again, I could definitely see Yeremina coming in for one of the smaller centre backs, be it Holgate or Godfrey. Just because no rocket science is it. It'll just be for the aerial presence that he offers, and the fact that we're going to expect a lot of balls into the box, crosses into the box from Burnley. I don't think if he does play three at the back that he'll play Iwobi left wing back again. It didn't work, did it? Iwobi's had a good game against Fulham. If Coleman isn't fit, which we're assuming he's not, and we're playing wing backs, then I could see Iwobi going back to right wing back and then Nkunku maybe coming in. Or I hope not, but possibly even Delph left wing back, because at least Delph has got no pace, but at least he is left footed, so it's more of a natural fit. But I know Nkunku's inexperienced, but we saw enough in I keep going to say Carabao Cup, to see that he has got ability on the ball, and he good attacking threats, and Luca Dean's going to be out for a long time. This isn't like a get by for 2 games and he'll be back type thing. He's going to be out for months. So we need to settle on a system and certainly a replacement. So, even if it's a flat back four and Delphis to make sure left back like he did for City, we need to decide what we're going to do and just stick with it, because changing it is not going to, every match is not going to work for that long.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned there Nkunku looks good on the ball. I think that's going to be the thing. If we can, in the opening half an hour, if we can keep hold of the ball, if we can have chances, if we can stop Burnley hitting us, when we're in a bad position, if we can not give the ball away. And I think, and that's the best case scenario, what you've mentioned there with the team. Holgate at right back, I think we need someone like him who's solid enough defensively to make sure that Dwight McNeil doesn't get any space. But as he is a good player on the ball as well, we need to be good on the ball in this game, I think. If we're going to get any joy, we need to assert ourselves in the first half an hour and say, you can come at us, but you'll have to get the ball off us first.
Yeah, and another reason why I was playing Nkunku is because I think Nkunku played last time against Newcastle, and I think was he up against St. Maximin?
I think he was. I think he had a tough day. I think he. I'm not sure he made an appearance against Southampton either, but he had a tough game in the against Newcastle against St. Maximin.
Yeah, so it was St. Maximin or Alma or whoever he was playing. They're going to be a lot more. They were a lot more dynamic than what is going to play off the right for Burnley, because they normally play a makeshift midfield at a right wing, or they play either Robbie Brady or Goodmanson, depending on who's fit, because I mean neither of them are ever fit. So it's either going to be Josh Brownhill or Goodmanson, I would imagine, and neither of them are dynamic enough to sort of worry Nkunku too much. So I would play him, and I would just play him in their half, because if we pen them back, they're not going to get out, and he's got the pace to recover anyway. So I don't see any reason why Nkunku wouldn't play in this one.
Mm-hmm. Owen, which players for Burnley do you think are going to be the main threat for Everton?
I've said McNeil if he has a good game creatively. I think Chris Wood. I think for our defensive frailty so far this season, the last thing we need is Chris Wood who's winning out, who's going for every second ball, who's chasing lost courses, good aerially, good finisher. I think the last 3 seasons he's got 15 Premier League goals. He knows where the net is. I think he's scored 3 times this season, with nothing much, but he's still a threat. I would say if they're going to score, it's going to be Chris Wood. But again, I would say it's the defence which is the biggest issue for us here, because if they have a resolute defensive performance, not too dissimilar to that a few years ago when they had 20% possession and beat Liverpool 2-0 with 2 shots, if they have something like that, then that'll be the reason why, is because the defence, and they quite like defending, is the honest truth. So
yeah,
I would say overall the defence is what's going to cause us the most issue for winning the game. But if they're going to score, I think it'll be through Chris Wood.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough game, especially given the current circumstances. I agree with you, Teddy. There, I'm a bit worried about it. I don't feel completely confident we can go there, and I think it's going to be 50-50 really. It depends what Everton team's going to show up. We'll go back to you again, Owen. You just mentioned about that Manchester City game. Do you think it'll affect Burnley mentally?
No.
No.
Not at all. I think they go there every year. When they went there last year and got beat 5-0, don't think they lost again for the rest of the season. So it's that won't affect them. I think if they'd been beat 5-0 by, I don't know, even Man United, I think it might do, because it's something different. But I think they're used that much for getting a paced enough City that I think it'll just go over one ear and out the other, to be honest. I think they didn't play well. They had injuries. Nick Pope didn't play. Brownhill didn't play. We might have done. They've got a few injuries in that sense, but I think if they come back, I think they have a one game at a time mentality, which they keep trying to say, but I don't think that's going to affect them too much, because I think it was a game they probably gave away anyway. Focusing on this one, they're probably going to give this one their all, because they probably see this as a big opportunity at home to get 3 points.
Yeah. Teddy, do you think our result last week against Leeds, do you think that'll affect our players mentally?
No more than the other defeats. Woods. I think we were, we were in the game. As despite what Jamie Carragher will tell you, we were in the game against Leeds. Obviously, we deserved to lose. We were second best, but it wasn't this route that Carragher was suggesting. But for a great shot, it would have been a clean sheet. So I'm not saying they'll come away, bouncing with confidence from that, but I don't think you can walk away from that type of defeat. Fine margins, could have went either way. You scored twice, but they were ruled out by offside. Right, type of defeat. I don't think that would, should affect any team's confidence. So no, I think they'll hopefully be going into this game looking to, put things back right. I think they won a Fulham and tried to say, we're back to winning ways now. So hopefully, they'll be looking to come into this game and say, right, well, Leeds was the blip. We are back to winning ways, and what better ways, we get a good result away at Burnley.
Mm-hmm. And just to touch on the midfield as well, Alan was really good last week, wasn't he? He was a lot of people's man of the match. Decore didn't have the greatest game, but there's been people on Twitter this week talking about, obviously not in this game, but that we could use Gabaman back in there. What'll be probably his full debut at some point. But do you think, Owen, do you think we need that? Do you think we need another good body in midfield, or do you think Allen and Decore as the midfield two is the way to go right now?
No, I would go for 3 more combative midfielders. Decore is no more of someone who likes to get into the other box, and I think if you have Gabaman and Allen sort of marshalling in front of our back four, breaking up play, and that Allen obviously going a bit further up and doing so as well, and Gabaman's in, I think he'll just free up Decore to be a creative influence in the team. So I would go for Gabaman, Allen, and sort of Decore in a bit more of a free role, not as a number 10 because he didn't play too well there under Nigel Pearson and Watford. But if he to get a bit more creative freedom to go into the opposition's box a bit more, I don't see anything but positives for him doing that. He's good at winning the ball back in the final third too as well. So get Decore and Allen higher up the pitch, and hopefully Gabaman can sort of settle into things a lot quicker than we probably expect him to, considering the fact that he hasn't played much football in England and has had a massive injury. But if he can do that, I think that's the way the team should be looking going forward.
Terry, I'll ask you the same thing. Are you looking forward to seeing him, or do you think Allen and Decore, that's the midfield two we need to stick with and create something with now?
No, I think a midfield 3 with Gabaman would be ideal. If it's not guaranteed, because he could easily come back and injuries, hamper him again. Like, he's been out for so long, you can't expect him to come and act like he's never been away. It's going to be a long process, and we obviously don't even know if he's any good yet. Like for this league, he looked all right in Germany from what people have seen. But no, I think that would be that it's Gabaman or someone new in the summer maybe, or whatever. Like a midfield 3 that's energetic and industrious and doesn't necessarily need to be very creative. It just needs to facilitate the rest of the team. If they can allow the front 3 to stay high up the pitch and allow the fullbacks to bomb on, knowing they've got covered, and that would be ideal. I don't think a 4-3-3 particularly needs a super creative number 10 type player if you've got the front 3 and the wing backs to create for you. It's like it's strange to say, but it's how Liverpool play. Long term, I think Gabaman would be the ideal choice, on paper. Short term, I still think it should be a 3. I don't know whose turn it is to go alongside Decore and Allen this week.
Short term next week, isn't it?
You are.
Short term for the Chelsea game, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Chelsea game, and so it's Sigurdsson, forget it. Gomez played well about a year ago, forget it.
Davis is there as well. A lot of people been making arguments for Tom Davis.
You know what?
I like Tom Davis seeing the game out, but I don't like Tom Davis starting the game. I think he's someone good to break the play down. But
I think he did well a couple of weeks ago against Fulham when he come on, and we saw the game out and he held onto the ball a bit. But starting it, he's definitely not in our best options, I don't think.
Can't rely on Delphi that he gets injured. No. He's crap even when he's not injured. So the only one we haven't really tried in the middle 3 is Iwobi. Now I've said no to the ball because I think Iwobi loses the ball quite a lot, which is if you're an attacking player, that's going to happen. But if you're doing it in the middle 3, then it's a bit more dangerous. But it could be worth a look because I certainly think he'd do a better job than certainly Sigurdsson or Delph. Like obviously Davies has had good games and Gomez wasn't bad at times, and I don't know. Like there's no overwhelming candidate, is there? The fact that we're banking on a player coming back from a year out injury, thinking to solve everything, shows how poor the other options are. It should be. Gabaman will have to wait ages to get in now because of the other players have locked the position down, but we can't wait for them to get back. A player we've not even.
Do you know what the ironic thing probably is that in and amongst this, with the way Allen and Decore are playing at the moment, the thing that would have probably solved it the most is Morgan Schneiderlin.
That's what Up and Gabamon is though, aren't we? Like, but a better version, like a number 6 who sits, and the other two can then get more involved and not be shackled as much.
Schneiderlin that can be asked.
I don't know. A Schneiderlin that can be asked was one of our best midfielders we've had, and just unfortunately most of the time he couldn't. I like, Terry, you mentioned the Iwobi there in the midfield three. He's plays everywhere else. Do you think, maybe Owen, do you think we should give him a go?
I feel sorry for him, to be honest, because I think he'll be playing centre half next week. It's just he becomes the scapegoat, but he hasn't been given a proper position in about 2 years here. Ridiculous. I would try him in the midfield and I'd keep him there because I think that's where he'll get the most joy.
Yeah.
Sort of pulling the strings and that. But
I think what he runs on is confidence, because he had it at right wing back against Fulham and he had arguably his best game for us. He was taking the ball, he was running past people, and I think that's what he's good at. He's good at running at people when I say when the crowd get behind him, there's not going to be any, but when we're playing well and stuff, he is a good option, I think. And as you said, I feel sorry for him as well. He hasn't had a proper position, but he's got a good attitude. And if we're going to go for a midfield three, I wouldn't put it past Carlo trying him, because I don't think he's going to try him at left wing back and not try him in centre midfield. I don't think that'd make much sense.
No.
Yeah, I think it would be a good option. We're banking on Alan having a good game as well, like he did last week. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. And Owen, you know a lot more about them than we do. There's a chance Nick Pope couldn't be back as well. I think he's got a head injury or something like that. I think
I don't. Yeah, Peacock Farrell.
Yeah,
played.
Peacock Farrell started last week for his debut against City, and I was probably one of the worst.
I'll be starting again this week.
Yes, I think a lot of people will do that. There will be a couple of eyes on the Burnley team when it comes out on Twitter. There'll be a bit of a meltdown when they see Chris Wood up front, and but yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I think we've spoken enough about it. Hopefully, we can only hope for an Everton win. We've got to stay positive, haven't we? We've got to hope that it's similar to Fulham, the result. Hopefully, the performance is a bit better than that. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching as well. If you want to check out the promotions on evertondirect.com, that'll be in the description. Go and get your Christmas shopping done. And thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you next time.